Hello, good morning, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you at. This is Kareem Lewis, your trusted Houston realtor, the one that keeps it real with you, aka Sergeant Sales. Listen, I wanted to make a video just on a couple of questions that I had that people been asking me, and what they've been asking me is truly, what is the life of a real estate agent? Like, how is it? What is it? How is it with sales? I really want to know. I'm thinking about starting school. I don't want to waste a lot of money. You know, you hear all these stories. I just want to know the truth. So if this is you, you found the right video. So go ahead and get your popcorn, get ready to take notes. But before you do, go ahead and make sure you like, subscribe, follow, share, help me, help you, help us. All right. Life of a salesman, right? And I'm not going to just say real estate because, listen, I got a lot of my youngsters, right? Y'all might be ready to graduate high school, college, or you just trying to look for a better career rather than working at the Piggly Wiggly or Mickey D's or whatever. You know what I mean? You're trying to upgrade your life. And, sales, I've seen a lot of different people put different posts online, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. You see a lot of these ads talking about sell high value items or tickets or whatever, you know what I mean? And a lot of people are saying, yo, I want to do sales, rather it might be digital sales, real estate agent. Maybe you want to be a mortgage lender. Maybe you want to be, life insurance, which I'm a licensed, registered in Texas life insurance agent as well, just in case if you need help finding a whole life or a term life policy, hit me up. Or just, it's a lot of things to sell, man. You can sell cars, you can sell trailers, you can sell furniture, appliances, the wide world of sales. It all is about the same thing, really, when you look at it. So since I'm a realtor and a lot of people have been asking me about sales, it kind of rolls up with anything. So you can apply this just about anywhere. So now, first of all, as a salesman, let me not say salesman, salesperson, right? Let me say it like that. As a salesperson, okay, you have to have a proactive attitude with life. And what I mean by that is you got to be the type that's, anytime you hear somebody proactive, never reactive, I know I say it a lot. I learned it from the military. That means you jump on things before it's needed, right? You see a need, fix a need. You're not the type that somebody got to always point out and show you things. If this is you, you might want to work on things before you get into sales, right? Another thing is, the key thing is, you have to be a people person. You got to like talking to people. You got to like solving people problems. If you're not the type that, you don't really like dealing with people, you don't like talking with people, that might not be for you, right? Especially when you talk about real estate sales, because you got to always talk to people, you got to always network, you always got to branch out, stuff like that. Now, marketing is key, right? With sales, marketing is key. And the reason why is, rather it's real estate, mortgage lender, you can sell cars. Listen, you got to let people know, first of all, who you are, what you selling, and why should I trust you to buy it from you, right? And all these things in today's time, social media plays a key role, because the more people hear you talking about things and see you, discussing it, you become like a subject matter expert where they trust you, you know what I mean, to give them advice, and they trust to even make a purchase. So now, talking about real estate, because this is what I do. Before you think about going to your broker, before you even look at going to your taking your classes and all that other stuff, before then, from the time you say, man, I want to get into real estate, I want to sell real estate, invest in whatever, right? The first thing you need to do, of course, you need to educate yourself, right? But you should be talking about real estate all the time. Just like if you're talking about, oh, I'm going to sell insurance, you should learn some and start talking about it, because some of your first clients will be people that you know, right? As family members, friends, things like that. Now, you already know, it seems like people that you know, it seems like those are the hardest sales, just like in the Bible where it said a prophet is without honor in their own home. This is Jesus. Jesus said, man, even at my own home, people front on me, and it's true. Because people saw you growing up, they're going to feel that you know what type of person you are. You know, oh, they're an idiot. They don't know nothing. They party too much. They drink too much. You know, they got bad grades because people know you more than someone that you just meet. You know, they're going to be very subjective. A lot of times they just hate us, you know, and that's another big part of it too. That's another story. When you talking about sales, right? If you get into the mortgage game, insurance, real estate, you need to talk about it right now. As soon as you say you're going to do it, start talking about it. Why? So that people start seeing you as a subject matter expert. You should already get you a page, even though you're not a real estate agent. Talk about it. Talk about, man, I'm going through the process, because you'd be surprised is how many people that, first of all, you can help out by detailing what you're going through. And then two, people see you again, they get to learn about you and they see your whys. That's what draw them to you, right? So the more you talking about it, they hear you talking about it, they trust you more. Now, with real estate, I would tell anybody, if you're trying to get started in real estate, before you actually get your license, you can start off as a real estate investor, deal as a wholesaler, or really what they call a bird dog. Like, I know years ago, I started off as a bird dog. And a bird dog, if you think about hunting, you know, a hunting dog where, you know, if you remember that game Duck Hunt, you know, where you had your little gun, you know, and you see the ducks zig and zag, and a lot of y'all used to cheat. Like, I know I wanted to get 100%, so I'll go right on the screen. But when you shoot the duck fall down, dog grab it, retrieve it, bring it to the owner. That was duck hunt, right? That's a bird dog. And that's the same thing bird dogs do with deals. For investors, for wholesalers, a bird dog goes out and actually scout out properties. They're the main ones that use a tactic called driving for dollars, right? That they go and drive in a different neighborhood, maybe older neighborhoods, or just driving looking for telltale signs. Like if I see a house and I see the grass not cut, or maybe the windows boarded up, or, you know, even if it says for rent, because if it says for rent, it could be a landlord that's tired of being a landlord. You know what I mean? Or if it says for sale by owner, listen, that's a deal. So that's a lead. You know, a wholesaler might want that to try to lock up a deal. A realtor like myself, like if you drive around, you see a for sale by owner, that's a lead. That's money, baby. But that's a whole nother, you know, that might be another video that I need to come out with. Anyway, I got started as a bird dog, right? Years ago, back in the military, back in Fort Hood, I had this one cat used to hit me up and said, man, Kareem, you know, I know you be driving around, whatever, doing what you're doing. He said, listen, how about this? If you ever see a house that look crappy, or, you know, for sale by owner or for rent by owner or whatever, just as long as it don't seem like it has something dealing with a realtor already, write down the address and send it to me. Now, this was a time we didn't have cell phones. You know, cell phones was just coming out, so you couldn't take pictures and send it. You know what I mean? You could take some Polaroids or from a camera, but, you know, he was like, listen, just go there, write some notes, what it looked like, what kind of, you know, if it looked like it was a wall building, whatever, send it to me and I'll shoot you a couple of dollars, right? I didn't think much of it. One day, you know, after about 3-4 months, you know, kept hitting me up from time to time, but like, all right, man. And so I took some pictures, I sent it to him. And after a couple of weeks, he sent me $200. So I'm like, all right, this is my party money. Why not? All I'm doing is driving around. I'm driving around anyway. So I would drive around, write down some addresses, write down a condition. And then one day I started thinking like, yo, if he can give me $200, $300 for writing, how much this dude making? And then one day I was chopping it up with him. Of course, he didn't want to tell me. But one day, you know, he was bending his elbow a little bit and he got free, you know, started talking because he was nice. And he shared with me like, yeah, I do wholesaling. And, you know, at the time, I didn't know what that was. Wholesaling, what's that? He's like, yeah, man, I take them addresses. I do a skip trace. I find the address, the number, the contact of the owner. I reach out to him. I make a deal with him, you know, based on how much the property is worth, minus repairs, minus whatever I'm trying to get. And then I offload it to an investor, you know, or, you know, I fix and flip it myself. And so I thought about it. And at the time, you know, I was young and dumb trying to party, you know, in the military, just my mind wasn't right. And so I didn't think much of it. But years later is when it finally hit to me like, yo, I need to do the same thing and get money, right? But as a bird dog, that is the ultimate way. And if you've seen some of my videos before, I offer this training, right? And I'll slide the link into this video so that you can get some of that training and you can be a bird dog for me. Like I said, we'll go into those details later. Anyway, that's probably one of the perfect ways to get started if you want to start off as a realtor, right? You want to be a real estate agent, be a bird dog. And graduate from that, do wholesaling. Why? Because it gets you used to seeing contracts, gets you used to talking to people, gets you used to marketing, being on social media, things like that, using CRMs, using websites, using funnels, so that by the time you become a realtor, you already locked in. Because the key to real estate as a real estate agent is leads, right? Rather if you want to deal with rentals, rather you want to deal with trying to find list properties to list. If you only want to deal with investments, you want to deal with commercials, you want to deal with farm. If you want to be a business broker and you sell businesses as well as the real estate, however it go, however you decide, you know, all this are lessons and skills that you can teach yourself prior to really putting in some big money. Because to be a real estate agent, you're going to put in some dollars. When you think about class costs on a low $300 to up to $1,000. You know, some you can do online. Like for me, I did mine's all online. You know, some people go to the actual classes. You know what I mean? Everybody learning style, however your learning style is, but that's just to get the education. Then you got to get your fingerprints money. Then you got to pay to take the test money. Then you got to pay for your license money. Then once you join your realtor, you know, your broker, you know, usually broker's going to have you join one of the MLS boards, which that's already $500 off the rip. And then you paying little quarterly fees. You know, you got to pay for the Supra box, you know, to have access. Because when you do tours, rather you buying or renting, you know, that's how you get in the doors. You got to pay that a month. You know, you got to pay where, man, you got a lot of fees. There is a lot of fees. If anybody tell you can be a real estate agent for free, that's, you need to have a job. You need to keep a job. You need at least part-time, because you're going to need some money. Likewise, when you think about going for showings, you got to pay for gas. You got to pay for tolls. You know, you got to pay for the little props. You know, if you have an open house, for your signs, your balloons, your little knickknacks that you offer at the open houses, it's not cheap. You know, unless you got somebody that's going to, you know, give you a loan or, you know, hold you down a little bit while you build that up, you know, it's costly. And that's why I said the sooner you can get started, the better. If you can have income coming in as a wholesaler, you know, then that's a double win. Because again, you're already in the game. You already know how to negotiate, which that's going to help you as a realtor even more. I could say for me, that's what separates me from a lot of other people, a lot of other realtors, is because I started as an investor and I know creative finance and I know the art of a deal, you know, how to structure a deal to make it work, how to make it sound good both ways, you know, and that's why I have success as far as my second chance rentals, you know, my first time home buyers. That's why I'm getting them set up in some good places. Even now, if you see my video about you know, the modular homes and how you can use that and wind up with no PMI payments. You know, these are the things that, because of my investor experience, I'm able to do that. So I think that's the best place to get started. And again, if you still have questions, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. I make a video of it, or like I said, stay tuned. Like sometime this year, mid-year, maybe by the third quarter tops, I'm going to build up a team and I'm going to have a collective group of referral partners or / team members, you know, so that this way, you know, I can do some of those internal trainings and get you up with the team. So if you're getting ready to get your license, hit me up, let me know, and we can partner up and do some beautiful things in 2026. So again, this is Kareem Lewis signing out. To the next time.